You ever have one of those days where you have a rather long to-do list, and there you are constantly being pulled off center, focusing on other things, not being able to focus on the thing that is in front of you, and constantly thinking about what's back there or what you have to do, and here you are with yet even more on your to-do list. That is a state that I like to refer to as the shadow side. It's that place where there's no relief and you find yourself really caught up in the rhythm of something other than your intention, your focus, and your motivation for the day. Let's explore what the shadow side is and learn just a couple techniques to better be able to handle the shadow side of life. Hi, I'm Karen DeHaven, and I am a psychotherapist and am here to talk to you about the shadow side and what to do when those shadow days are upon you. That feeling of overwhelm, that feeling of like, oh my God, I can't do all of this stuff. And those events last typically about 30 seconds. And if you can ride the wave of them and not attach to them, not cling to them, then you can continue to sort of ride the waves that are going on. But when we start attaching, when we start clinging to those, and then they start building up and building up and building up until finally it feels like, oh my God, I'm gonna drown in my own to-do list, in my own overwhelm. It really is a state that feels disempowering, certainly. And it is a place where the nervous system actually becomes so agitated we can actually move into our fight, flight, or fright state. Or at its most extreme, we actually dip down into the depressive state and into the frozen phase. That's what the shadow feels like. And I want to talk a little bit today about ways to get out of it. I'm going to share with you 4 techniques to get out from underneath the shadow. Number 1, turn on the lights. So how do you do that? First, you pause. What am I feeling right now? One of the things that I like to do is I like to grab a notebook and a pen or a piece of paper, but you can certainly do it just in your head. But you take a pause and you say, what am I feeling right now? And actually name the feelings. I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's a very common one. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling pulled in too many directions. I'm feeling like I don't have enough resources, right? I don't have enough help. I feel helpless. That's a really big one too. I feel out of control. And if feelings and identifying your feelings can be tricky, what I'm going to do is down below, I'm going to place a link to a download, and it's a feeling chart. Download that feeling chart and have it always available so that you can just quickly look and say, well, what am I feeling right now? Start at the center, identify the base feeling, and then, oh, I'm feeling fear. Okay, so then go out and look at all of the emotions that are connected to that fear. And when you download it and look at this image, I think you're going to easily understand what I'm talking about. So first we have to identify what the feeling is. And as I said, I like putting it down on paper because then right beside those feelings, I can actually take the next step. So now I'm going to pair what's going on in my present day life. And it's really important to stay in present day for this exercise. If this is linked to something far in the distance, if this is a constant trigger and it over and over leads to behaviors that, let's say, you don't want anybody else to know about, that's actually a much deeper shadow. And that's something to consider doing actually in therapy with a therapist. So first, name the emotion. Second, attach the thing that is causing that emotion. If you're feeling overwhelmed, let's say, what are you feeling overwhelmed about? I have too many notes to write. Okay, I'm going to write that in, right? 12 clinical notes to write. Or I'm driving all day. That's a big one for mamas. I'm driving all day and I need to make dinner and I need to go shopping and I need to do this and I need to do that. Or same thing happens for those in their work. Maybe you've taken a day or two off and then you come back and your to-do box is absolutely filled and it's not even stuff that you put there. Right? So jot down those things that you associate with the actual emotions that you've already identified. Step 3 is wonderful. Now you're going to go and just, if you've written it down, you're going to circle the ones that you actually can do something about right now. Some of those things you might not be able to do something about immediately, but some of them you actually might. If it's, I'm overwhelmed with how many notes I have, then you could go and write the easiest one. That's pretty cool. Or if it's, I've got 5 loads of laundry to do, and if I don't do it today, then we're not going to be ready for our trip this weekend, or whatever it is. Go do one thing. Go put one load in. Do one task. Go clean the dishes in the sink if that's something that's on your agitation list. So find the easiest thing and do that. Then, if you've circled other things, then go choose the next easiest thing and do that. Once you get those 2 things done, you might actually be willing to tackle one of the harder ones or one of the bigger ones. Just setting something in motion is taking a step. And when we take steps towards our goals, well, we feel a little less overwhelmed, right? I know I do. And it's a way of just chipping away at the challenges. Once you do that, the beauty is you've activated. And once we've activated, that is what gets us out of whether it's the full freeze and the depressive state, or whether it's fight, flight, or fright, that agitated state. When we activate and begin doing a task that we've been needing to, and sometimes that task might be, you know what, I need to take a shower and just reset. That's a beautiful thing. Add that on, and then give yourself that grace, right? Once you've begun to activate, well, then you're heading straight up into that space where you might actually start feeling a little bit of relief. Okay, now that you've taken step 1, identifying your feelings, all of them. Step 2, identifying what's actually activating those feelings in the now. And step 3, identifying the ones that you can do something about today, right now, and you've begun to actually take steps towards doing that. You've completed 1 or 2 of the things. You've gotten those things out of the way because they were pretty easy. So for me, I needed to plan and get this talk done. Well, it started out sort of small, and then it became this really big thing. So I started taking a couple steps towards it. Well, as soon as I finish doing this, I am going to step outside for about 20 minutes, and I'm just going to soak in the sun. I'm going to make it about the same time frame that the task was. I'm going to actually deliver that as a yummy, delightful reward to myself at the back end. Why? Because if we don't reward the tasks of mobilization and moving forward and activating, then we actually are missing out on the benefits. It's an act of grace. And acts of grace towards ourselves is what allows the light within to begin to be stoked. So not only is the shadow pulled back, right? We've turned the light on, but now begins the process of stoking the light within us. Every single practice you do to brighten and lighten your load is a way of addressing the shadow side. And if, as I said earlier, the shadow side is rooted in deep past issues, challenges, traumas, stories that have happened over and over and over, and you find yourself still really stuck, or you have a hard time accessing the pleasure that comes from taking those steps forward, then it might be time to actually engage somebody. Let somebody know. Don't be in isolation with that, but move forward, take action, and engage somebody. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a therapist. There are lots of ways to do so, and you are worth it. I hope you find something of value in this, and if you do, then we together are on the path to creating a happier, healthier, and kinder world. And that is a world worth creating together.